Good afternoon, everyone, and for those online, we welcome all of you to this distinguished workshop that we are holding, being organized by Albany State University and IBM. This is an exceptional workshop, and we want as many of our students to be part of this. My name is Dr. Nneka Nora Osakwe. I am a professor of English at Albany State University, Albany here in Georgia, and have been here since 2004. A professor of English and have been the director of the Office of International Education for over 10 years before transitioning to my new position, which is just started, as the director of the Office of Transformational Student Experiences. And of course, when we talk about transformational student experiences, you cannot talk about it without thinking about what we are doing today. We are looking at AI, artificial intelligence, and we are looking at GPT, and we are going to also be looking at discussions around this, and students will have opportunity to discuss, dialogue, and come up with some solutions. So today on our program, we have our standing keynote speaker for us here. And then we have lots of activities here. We will have, after the keynote speaker presentation, we will have the roundtable discussion on how AI has affected education. We will also have a short break, and then we continue to have faculty-student brainstorming discussion session. And it's going to also center on AI. And thereafter, we will also have a discussion point where we discuss the results of the activities of the panel, and then we go about to closing. So to start, I want to introduce a distinguished colleague of mine who is over this. And this individual is renowned and has quietly been involved in innovative activities at ASU. He is the director for the Center of Innovation and Emerging Technologies at Albany State University. He has been at ASU for 19 years, going to 20. I remember we came into ASU about the same time. He has written several papers and research projects, and is over this particular project. His expertise is in cybersecurity, software engineering, blockchain technology, quantum cryptography, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data analytics. This person is no other but someone that we all know about, Dr. Robert Stephen Owor. He is an IBM System Z champion in blockchain, Watson, and AI cloud computing, working with IBM and the University System of Georgia for several years. He has been involved in several data analytics projects, including the U.S. Marine Logistics Base, and has worked with NASA and for several U.S. Department of State projects. NASA has collaborated with Dr. Owor as a principal investigator in early intervention program for STEM education in middle and high school in Southwest Georgia. This program seeks to train the next generation of engineers, mathematicians, and scientists in blockchain, artificial intelligence, robotics, and data analytics. It is hoped that this project, the program, will expand to provide a pipeline of students who entered the maths and science and engineering programs at Albany State University, Georgia Tech, and other institutions across the country. Dr. Owor, in addition to all that I've stated, has established numerous blockchain and AI systems, which include the application of blockchain technology in secure unmanned terrestrial and aerial vehicle communication, additive manufacturing solution, secure order processing and tracking management system, secure email transmission, distribution and tracking systems, and supply chain systems, among others. He is also very active in cybersecurity field and is currently the principal investigator of an NSA-funded grant to train students into future cybersecurity professional AI and data analytics to address the growing cyber area. He is over this project, and there are several other projects, numerous for me to begin to read here, but needless to say that this colleague of mine, this person that is over this project, is doing outstanding projects, not just here in Albany State, but all over the country. So I want you to please, with a round of applause, welcome Dr. Robert Owor to give our welcome remark.
Good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon.
You're all very welcome. I didn't hear. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Osakwe, for the introduction. And we are very excited to talk about AI in higher education. And today we have Ms. Valinda Kennedy, who is the program manager at IBM, in charge of this. She's also in charge of the cybersecurity program. The US government gave us quite a bit of money, and IBM chose Albany State University to be one of the participants in the cybersecurity training program. So we thank them for that. And AI has become extremely important. As you know, even the federal government is discussing this issue. And the Congress is discussing this issue. The Senate is discussing this issue. The implications of AI. AI is going to permeate every single area of our life, whether it is health, whether it is education, agriculture, the defense, the industries. Is going to permeate every area. In fact, Elon Musk was even saying that he is worried that AI could kill us, you know. AI could become so smart that he says, let's kill all these human beings. So think about that. It's going to affect every single area. Now, today we are lucky to have Ms. Valinda Kennedy, who is an expert in AI, and she's going to talk to us about the impact of AI in higher education. And then after that, we shall have questions and answers. We shall have a discussion, and then we'll break into groups, and we will discuss some of the resolutions we think we should make, and then we'll come back and round up and finally close the session. So without much ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Valinda Kennedy. I also wish to acknowledge Dr. McClendon, who is also with IBM, and she will also help us with the participation. Dr. McClendon is in charge of the program as well, working directly with us, with ASU, to ensure that the cybersecurity and AI programs are well taken care of. Ms. Valinda Kennedy, please. Thank you.
And I really want to make sure that we know that while there's lots of conversations going on about artificial intelligence, I think most of the people are trying to figure out, is this a main dish or an appetizer? And of course, when you talk artificial intelligence, you will have a side of cybersecurity. If you don't, the consequences might give you a little stomachache. This is my contact information. I'm very fortunate. I have been working with the wonderful team under Dr. Owar's guidance at Albany State for some time now. Katrina is an excellent member of my team that works with you on the day-to-day activities, and we really value this partnership that IBM has with Albany State University. Now, what is artificial intelligence? So in IBM, we say that artificial intelligence leverages computers and machines to mimic problem-solving, decision-making capabilities of the human mind. There's another gentleman. It's the science and engineering of making intelligent machines, especially intelligent computer programs. So it relates to the similar task of understanding human intelligence. But AI does not have to confine itself to methods that are biologically observable. Keep that in mind as we have our discussion today. There is a thing called a Turing test that most people in computer science refer to that really defines what is considered artificial intelligence. It's considered that if it can mimic human responses under specific conditions. So mimic is the key there. Mimic human responses under specific conditions. Think about that as we go through our discussion today. So I wanted to give us a baseline. So let's get some terms out of the way really quick. Because quickly, the question that I hear a lot from students who are in computer science or thinking about computer science with artificial intelligence elements, what's the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning versus deep learning? So I like to think of it as three big ovals. The biggest oval is artificial intelligence. It's the big oval shape of which all the other elements that are typically being discussed today, it's the overarching umbrella. Now, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. So machine learning is a smaller oval in the big artificial intelligence oval. Then deep learning, it's a subset of machine learning. So you have three ovals or three eggs. So you have a small chicken egg, then you have a bigger egg. Think of an ostrich. Have you seen an ostrich egg? And then think of the really large egg, like a dinosaur egg, is what artificial intelligence is. And that's how they nest inside of each other. This is important because sometimes conversations start off with one term and a person blends into the other term. Or one person's talking artificial intelligence and the other person is talking deep learning. So this hopefully gets everybody a baseline of how these pieces nest together. And I said everybody. As Dr. Owor said, artificial intelligence is touching us all. Regardless of industry, regardless of discipline, all these things are touching us regardless of the field of study. Education, healthcare, transportation, you name it, there's a way that it's being impacted by artificial intelligence. Now, with that background, one of the things you've already heard today is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is trained to follow on an instruction in a prompt and provide a detailed response. So you're asking a question and it responds. Now, this whole thing, the dialogue to answer follow-up question, ChatGPT and its parent company, OpenAI, admits it makes mistakes. It will challenge incorrect premises, and it wants to admit its mistakes, challenge incorrect premises, and reject inappropriate requests. The problem is, this is what they are telling you at the top of the page about ChatGPT. Now, what I wonder is, what I'm going to show on the next page, how many of you have read these are the law of limitations that they talk about that are in ChatGPT. Sometimes it writes plausible sounding but incorrect or nonsensical answers. It's sensitive to tweaks, but Given one phrase or a question, the model can claim to not know the answer, but give a slightly different rephrase can answer correctly. Or it could answer correctly, and with a tweak, it could answer incorrectly. It's also been known to be excessively verbose and overuses certain phrases, such as restating that it's a language model trained by OpenAI. So this rises from bias in the training data. They want individuals to see OpenAI really has a multitude of answers that maybe it really doesn't have. So ideally, they are stating it would be better if the model asked clarifying questions instead of currently the way it does, which is guess what the user intended. So when we're guessing about what somebody's asking, that tends to lead to quickly proposing incorrect answers. So while they've made efforts to make their model refuse inappropriate requests, it will sometimes respond to harmful instructions or exhibit biased behavior. Harmful instructions, tell me how to make a bomb, biased behavior, which group of people should I hire for my job, and I need to make sure I pick those that are the most intelligent, considering the different races represented in the United States. That could be a way to you prompted to give you a biased answer. So as we're talking about this, we want to make sure this is not something I wrote. It's not something I summarized. These are actually the limitations on the OpenAI page about ChatGPT. So it's warning people up front. It's not always giving correct answers, and some of them will be nonsensical. But it seems that we don't have people listening to that. One of our huge departments of defense in the United States, one of our intelligence agencies, describes ChatGPT in 3 ways: mirage, hallucinations, and makes things up. Now, think about our intelligence agencies in the United States. We have around 16 of them, and they're describing this tool that everybody wants to use with the phrase mirage, hallucinations, and makes things up. What do they mean by that? Well, when you think about it, mirage is something you think you see on the horizon, but when you get there, it disappears. Hallucinations is, I see clowns on the street, but nobody else sees them. I see clowns, but nobody else sees them, which means they really aren't there. And I think we all know what the phrase makes things up. It means it just, quite frankly, makes up stuff that's not true. That's pretty important when we talk about the people who are talking about generally using ChatGPT to do their job or to write a paper or to write a resume. Some of you may recognize the picture of this gentleman. Some of you may not. First time I heard about him was in a discussion the FBI was holding out of the InfraGard group in Los Angeles. And so the reason this gentleman, who's an attorney, came up is because he used ChatGPT to write a court argument. And the result, when he went into court, he was very positive, very sure that he was going to win his case. He strode in with pride and sat down and was joking with his friends. And then this happened. He presented his entire argument, and upon investigation, the defense counsel started asking him about the cases he referenced. Then the judge started asking him about the cases he referenced. Then his team started looking at him about the cases he referenced. The outcome was the amazing argument that ChatGPT created for him made up all the cases in the argument. So these are now direct quotes that happened during that courtroom discussion. So this is the gentleman on the prior page saying, hey, I didn't know that ChatGPT could fabricate cases. As the judge asked more questions, he's like, I wish I did that. I wish I had actually looked up the cases. I wish I didn't use ChatGPT to build the whole argument. So now he's feeling embarrassed, humiliated, and deeply remorseful. As the conversation went on, as he asked questions, he said, I continue to be duped by ChatGPT. It's embarrassing. A legal commentator said, this has gone throughout the entire legal profession, and it's a bit like looking at a car wreck. So was he disbarred? Not yet. Is there conversations going on about how he will be sanctioned? Yes, there are. So I share this with you because we went from looking at a gentleman who looked very prepared to go into court to someone who is now talking about not knowing that ChatGPT could fabricate cases. So the limitations I mentioned a few minutes ago is exactly what he's talking about in the very first bullet. I did not comprehend that ChatGPT could fabricate cases. This is significant because as I'm going through airports 3 weeks ago, I heard a TSA person say, I'm going to have ChatGPT create my resume for me. And of course, being a good IBMer, as I got through security, I'm thinking, I really want to stop and talk to this individual, but I want to make my flight more than that. So it wasn't just me wanting to talk to the individual. I attended last week the official Chicago Cybersecurity Summit, kicked off by the FBI. Next speaker was a gentleman, Jeff Crooms, an IBM who's been in this space for 30 years, and he decided he would have ChatGPT create something on a topic he knew all the information about that topic. And I say all the information because he really wanted to see how he would be able to identify if ChatGPT was using accurate data or how far it would go to making things up. So he had ChatGPT create his resume. Now, on the surface, it looked like this was the right Jeff Crooms, 30 years in IBM, a distinguished engineer. But as you looked at it with a knowing eye of somebody who knows that topic better than anyone else, he found 5 inconsistencies in the resume ChatGPT created for him. One was where it said he got his graduate degree. The next was it said he wrote a paper that he didn't write. And as he went through each of these bullets, and we've recently heard in the news all the people who are being embarrassed because of something in their resume that wasn't accurate, he was able to point out to an entire room of people in his own resume 5 significant errors that while ChatGPT did an outstanding, beautiful resume for him, 5 things flat out just were not true that ChatGPT made up. So this last sentence, it's a little bit like looking at a car wreck. When I talk to students, I ask them how many of them are aware of ChatGPT, and 99% of the hands go up. And I ask them how many are using ChatGPT, and a few brave souls raise their hand, about 40 to 50%. And I say, do you know ChatGPT makes stuff up? And it's total silence. So the students now are under the impression that ChatGPT is the answer to all their prayers, their homework, their research, their writing assignments. They really need to know that ChatGPT has already warned them with its own identification of the limitations, that they are using a tool that does not give accurate information. They're using a tool that is, for the free version, using data only up through 2021. The other key point is they're using a tool that's the repository that it points to is the internet. Now that's pretty significant because data matters. Imagine you have the person you love the most in your arms as you rush into a hospital emergency room. 2 gentlemen stand before you. One gentleman has a white lab coat, a stethoscope, and a hospital identification card around his neck. The second gentleman is standing there in jeans and a faded t-shirt. Now, to not be biased, the gentleman in jeans and faded t-shirt could have just come off the golf course or could be coming in from painting his boat. So you ask quick questions. What are your qualifications to save the life of my mother and my spouse, my child, to the gentleman in the white lab coat. And he says, I got my degree for my undergraduate at MIT. I got my advanced degree at Johns Hopkins. I'm the head of surgery here at this esteemed hospital. You turn to the second person and ask, what are your qualifications to save this most important person in my life? And the gentleman in the jeans and faded shirt says, I watched a few videos on YouTube and I created a few on TikTok. I'm pretty sure I have the medical knowledge that's needed. What's the problem? Data matters. Data absolutely matters. We want to make sure that we use reputable sources when we're talking about how we get our data and how we use that data. We talked about machine learning. Machine learning leads to natural language models. So this whole acronym called LLM, it's basically saying you're looking at a way to come up with an approach of leveraging large data assets and insights so that you can help work on items that the average human would not be able to solve. Foundation models takes it another step forward. I'm creating models specific to healthcare. I'm creating models specific to supply chain management. I'm creating models very specific to retail store sales. Then you're able to have a foundation and a model of how you then build upon that to answer the complicated questions your organization needs to pose. And then deep learning takes it to that next level. I'm going to be able to assess data that human beings are not able to go through at the volume that computers can go through. I'm going to use data sets that are huge in size, but have repositories of data that really help us get to solving the big issues of someone who rushed into the emergency room and it's not obvious why they fainted for the third time that day. You want to be able to look at data around supply chain management and understand what the hiccup is and why, while you show that you have an adequate supply in the pipeline, you have your stores saying they are running out of products from you on a regular basis every week, and they're losing customers as a result. You want to be able to look at the data and the tools you're using to manage the data to figure out how you can make a better hospital, how you can make a better experience for clients who are buying your products, how you could do a better job of staffing hotel rooms with all the different ways that you can get a hotel room manned for the night so that you can get the maximum revenues from that site. Now, here's an invalid healthcare data source. For those of you who might not recognize these three these three very handsome gentlemen, play doctors on TV shows. And they've done a phenomenal job. So you don't have to imagine the gentleman in the white coat with the stethoscope or the blue shirt and the stethoscope. You see it on my screen. Of course, you know this is invalid healthcare data sources because these are all actors, not real doctors. So think about that. When you're on the internet, you have a lot of people out there who claim to be experts in topics of which they truly are not. They don't have the expertise. They created a great YouTube video, but it has nothing to do with their educational background, with their academic research, with their work in industry that shows they are really tops in their field in that topic. So while these three gentlemen look and, of course, admit to playing a doctor on TV, but not being a real doctor, on the internet, you always don't have people who acknowledge they are not the expert in the field that they are giving you advice on. Now, the opposite. Here are validated healthcare data sources. Electronic health records. Those are the records when we go to our doctor's office that are kept on us today that can be connected with the MRI scans that are done on us, that are connected to our own medical files that are there that our doctor looks at and reviews when we go in for just a regular health checkup or we have a particular issue that we need the doctor to address for us. You also have clinical trials. So heaven forbid you have a form of cancer and you have that amazing doctor that you've been seeing all your life, who has all your healthcare data and all the MRI data and all of the ultrasounds and all of your prescriptions, and they're now able to understand you have this anomaly and take all that data and have artificial intelligence, machine learning, crunch it and come up with a clinical trial that might be the exact thing based on your history, your biometrics, and everything else that's going on today that makes you a perfect candidate for that. Another great thing is the medical journals. We have amazing doctors. We know we have amazing doctors, but even our best doctors cannot keep up with the medical journals that come out so regularly across the globe. Think about, in addition to that, the prescription records. Many a time we see on our prescription when we pick it up 2 or 3 pages of information that we need to read and understand that relates to us taking that prescription. So when we can have artificial intelligence take this all together and assess symptoms and predict and recommend next course of generative actions we want to take, that's why it gets so important. And I don't know about you, but in the last several years, I've noticed an amazing number of people who have embedded health monitoring devices. Some you could see because it's on their arm. Others you cannot see because it's embedded in their bodies. But these are validated, critical data sources that will help each individual be given better medical care because of this level of knowledge that could be brought to the table. And let me not forget my friend Chris Gibson's. Chris is an amazing surgeon at Johns Hopkins University. I met him probably 5 years ago. The fact that he's a surgeon and we were sitting down and having a meal, and I was at that time taking some blood thinners, and our conversation quickly went to, why are you taking that? So the great thing about Chris, who asked me a ton of questions about why you're taking it, it preceded my own doctor 3.5 years later saying, I think we can take you off of that now. This is counter to what he said to me 5 years ago when he originally put me on it. Validated healthcare data sources, it makes all the difference. It is a matter of life and death. Now, I've said that about healthcare because I wanted to give you an example I felt we could all relate to. But here are other common cases of how artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning are going to be used. So we have people in the room that are in computer science, cybersecurity, data science, and they absolutely understand how we're going to be able to use machine learning and deep learning to help with digital data security. There's that security word. We're also going to have deep learning help with digital and data security. There's that security word. Sales forecasting, deep learning. All of these things will give organizations in industry, education, and business competitive advantage. The concerns that people have now, because they understand this is not a out of the box, ready to go solve my problems. They're concerned their data is not ready because they understood what we just talked about. They're concerned about implementation of AI solutions seems so overwhelming because they think they've got to boil the ocean when what they really need to do is have guidance and start small. AI development will be delayed until ethical concerns can be legislated. Yesterday, the White House announced another group of companies had signed up and committed to the new structure around AI that the US government is looking to deploy. And right now, they're having businesses sign up basically on a we want to be good guys basis, not because they're mandated. But the recommendations are that artificial intelligence usage absolutely gets regulated and mandated. The final thing is the concern is AI is only relevant for limited applications. Well, we saw some applications on the other side and in this conversation say that shows the limitation is only in our imagination. So we saw the direct quotes from someone using one of over 50 current artificial intelligence tools that everyone has access to, and how it got misused because the person did not understand the capabilities of generative artificial intelligence. And one tool that warned about the outcomes, they took it at face value and didn't even read the one page, the main page of what this system said about itself. Now, when you look at direct quotes, this is what industry says is going to happen, and this is why government is involved. We're using it more and more to make sales predictions based on seasonal changes. We are making a networking decision for efficiency and quality control. We've implemented chatbot services for analyzing customer comments. We've implemented chatbot services in IBM for how our HR questions are answered by managers like myself. So the implementation with utilizing the right approaches and the right skills and the right technologies delivers these types of quotes, which is very different than the quotes we saw on the prior page. I talked a lot about government, industry, and education. Yesterday, as you can see from what's on my screen, September the 12th, well, that's 3 days ago, President Biden and Vice President Harris got 8 additional artificial intelligence companies to agree to manage the risk posed by AI. IBM was one of those 8. There is recognition that artificial intelligence in the wrong hands can get out of hand and not be containable. In order to make sure we deploy artificial intelligence in the right way, the lower left-hand side, breaking data out of organizational silos. So if the HR people have their data and the payroll people have their data and the sales people have their data, but you want to pay somebody based on them meeting their sales quota, that's really hard because the data is not being shared. Next important thing about data, you probably picked that up when we talked about data from the internet. For artificial intelligence and for machine learning and deep learning to be effective, you have to ensure the data is clean, correct, and accessible. And you've got to ensure that unintended bias and potential ethical concerns are addressed. There's so many ways that artificial intelligence can do destruction. This is why you see that very first bullet in the fact sheet sent from the White House from President Biden and Vice President Harris on September the 12th of this year.
4 minutes.
Now, question. Oh, just someone joining the meeting. Or was there a question, Katrina?
No, I was saying you have 4 minutes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Perfect. Artificial intelligence use cases on the right-hand side. Look at those amazing bars. Second option, digital and data security. Security keeps popping up as we talk about how artificial intelligence can be used. I will give you a quick sidebar. You already have the ability to use some of these resources today around cybersecurity from an industry standpoint. You want to take advantage of that because as we add more and more artificial intelligence to it, the faculty and students are able to thrive and help industry and help government with the recommendations they're seeking. So these are areas where artificial intelligence are already being deployed in a responsible way. Now, as we wrap up here, the thing I want to showcase at Albany State University, faculty and students taking the Getting Started with Enterprise Grade AI, a 5-hour course, which includes a badge issued from IBM, is a great foundation for all of your freshmen. Getting Started with Threat and Intelligence Hunting around cybersecurity, again, another great course, 5 hours in length. It's self-study. You take it at your leisure, and upon completion of the quizzes and the test, you are able to again receive an IBM industry badge credential showing you've completed that work. That then you connect to your LinkedIn account and it gets posted out there for the world to see. For our computer science and cybersecurity and our engineering students, here are additional courses to really help you build upon artificial intelligence, touching upon trustworthiness, which goes to ethics, touching upon open source, and then for those additional students across the campus who recognize how artificial intelligence will affect them in sociology, by psychology, being in higher education or being in K through 12 education, going into government roles, that the artificial intelligence fundamentals course for 10 hours, Dr. Goodson, yes, these courses are very available to faculty. These courses are available to everyone on the Albany State University campus that has an Albany State University email ID. I will send this deck. As you will see on each page, I put the URL where you can go and take advantage of the resources on that page. I want to wrap up with that, recognizing that your time is valuable. artificial intelligence is an amazing asset in the right hands. So think of artificial intelligence just like those two doctors we talked about. You can either be the head of surgery with the credentials behind you to show you're the best in your industry, or you could be the person who said, well, I looked it up on the internet, and I think you should then, instead of going to a doctor, maybe you should instead take a whole box of sugar babies and you'll be good in the morning. One problem with that recommendation, while Valinda Kennedy has a box of sugar babies on her desk because she loves to eat them, if the person had diabetes, think about the outcome of that little thing about what was in somebody's diet that led to devastating consequences, all because somebody really did not understand the power of artificial intelligence. So I thank you for your time today. I will be around the whole afternoon. There's a ton of resources from IBM that we are making available. But it really is up to our amazing faculty here at Albany State University and our students to take advantage of them and use them in ways that will help them thrive and stand hand of shoulders above their peers and lead the way of how this technology can make a difference in all those use cases you saw me list earlier. So I hope you gained something from our conversation. I hope that when you are promoted about using artificial intelligence, it's like Dr. Chris from Johns Hopkins and not the unfortunate lawyer who's currently under sanctions investigations right now to determine if he will even retain his license. So I see a lot of Dr. Chris's out here. I look forward to working with you. And with that, back to you, Dr. Owor.
Thank you so much, Miss Valinda Kennedy. That is an awesome summation of our topic today. Very good takeaway for us. Amazing assets. AI is an amazing asset in the hands of the right people. If it's in the right hand, it's amazing. But if it's in the wrong hand, then we have problems. Okay, we're going straight away to question and answer. If you have a question, we can come around to you with a okay, questions. We have opportunity for questions.
Oh, can I ask question on this online? I mean, like WebEx.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes. So, and I think there's someone in the room with a question. Dr. Ving, you have a question?
Okay. Thank you so much for that very important discussion and presentation. I was listening to the news last night, and I noted that President Biden, the Senate, both Democrats and Republicans met yesterday trying to work out the modalities of how to handle AI. And both of them are predicting that there's going to be a lot of issues, and right now they are working on bipartisan basis, but I don't know how far that will go. So they have to come up with something that, so that they can come up with some good policies that will guide the nation. So what's your comment about that?
So the great thing about that is that last discussion, there was a Senate meeting about 3 months ago, and there was 3 individuals in front of the subcommittee talking about artificial intelligence. And one of the individuals was our chief privacy officer, and we quite frankly could have done a better job as we went through the 3 hours in front of the subcommittee. Another gentleman was a professor, and the third was Sam Altman. He's been involved in artificial intelligence for years. As the subcommittee talked about their fears, they understand a lot's going on with artificial intelligence. So the question that was posed was, should there be a 6-month moratorium on any companies doing any more development around artificial intelligence? And the unanimous answer across the 3 panelists was, we might put a 6-month moratorium on it, but that will not stop Russia, China, and Iran in this space. So we have to understand this is a global problem, and we really need to have leadership and processes in place. And during that dialogue, they talked about one of the best ways potentially would be able to set up an agency like is in place for nuclear reactors, because this is just as powerful and just as dangerous. So the discussion as it went around the table was agreed upon by the end of the 3 hours. A 6-month moratorium would not do anything because only the U.S. would do it, and 190 other countries would not be shuttering any of their development, which could hurt the U.S. in the short and long term. Instead, there was discussion about we should answer the question the subcommittee chairperson asked, which was, what should we do, industry? And quite frankly, at that point, our chief privacy officer gave an answer, but not the one that I thought they were going to give. And then the professor gave an answer, which was, we should not have a 6-month moratorium. Yes, we should have regulation in this space. Yes, we should have an agency that regulates artificial intelligence like we have an agency that does it for nuclear reactors. Yes, we should have regulation developed specifically for this space. And if you did not follow it, you would lose your license to develop this type of content. That is continued to be the topic in the White House as recently as the one most recently on September the 12th. So